Hey.
Hey.
What do you want?
Oh, what are you doing?
What do you want to shoot today?
Oh, want to make some bread?
You want to make some bread?
Yeah.
We're gonna make some bread?
Yeah.
Some Savage Kitchen?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go make some bread.
Let's go make some bread, guys.
Okay, in a small bowl, we're gonna go ahead and pour in 2 cups of warm water, preferably something clean. So filtered or spring is gonna do you the best. If all you got is faucet, that's fine. You can use that, it's okay. Throw you 1/3 of a cup of regular sugar, table sugar, and then get that ooh so yummy in my tummy honey. I'm using this local North Carolina locust honey. It is fire. If you can get some local honey, ooh, it is killer. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw a 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. I'm using this Fleischmann's Active Dry. You can get that at a local Walmart in the bakery section. Costs you a couple bucks. This stuff is awesome to have. Just make sure if you open it, keep it in the fridge to make that yeast last longer. Now we're gonna go ahead and proof it. So whisk it up real good. Again, you're using honey, so you want that honey to fully dissolve in the water. If you don't whisk it up like this, sometimes you get that build up in the bottom of the bowl. So whisk it real nice. Set that aside to proof for about 5 to 10 minutes. Grab you a good sized bowl. I'm using my stand mixer bowl here. I'm gonna put 5.5 cups of bread flour. Preferably, you're gonna want to use bread flour. If all you have is all purpose, I've made it with it. It works fine. It just slightly changes the texture. It's not gonna be as chewy. Now you're gonna have about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. That's just gonna flavor your dough. Give that a good mix. You don't have to worry about sifting it. Now once your yeast is all proofed, go ahead and throw you a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. I'm using Wesson. That works fine, but use whatever brand you like. Then go ahead and pour all of that yeast sugar mixture. By this time, look how foamy that is. If it's not foamy, guys, pour that out. Start again with some good yeast. It needs to be foamy. I like to start with a good spatula and give it a stir just to make sure I get it thoroughly mixed. As you see, it's gonna start to really come together. Once it starts to form a nice little dough, just like you see here, you're ready to go ahead and pour that onto your board to start kneading, or do what I'm about to do and throw that into a stand mixer. Now I'm gonna start low here, start really low here, and take a look at your dough. Be very patient here and look at your dough. If it starts to really pull away and form, you're good to go. You can go ahead and crank this bad boy up and knead it for about 5 minutes. If it's not, if it starts to fall apart, you might need a little water, you might need a little flour. Depending on how humid it is, this is where you're gonna fix it. This is what you're gonna see here once it's done at about 5 minutes. It's gonna come together, be smooth, it's gonna be tacky, it's gonna be sticky. So be careful when you're pulling it out of here. As you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm actually pulling and I'm peeling. I'm not yanking out, because it'll stick to your fingers otherwise. So as you're touching the dough, you'll feel it stick to your fingers. Just peel it away, and it's less likely to stick directly to your fingers. You can also put a little oil in your hands as well as flour to help with that. Once you're at this point, you go ahead and roll this out onto your lightly floured board. Be careful here, don't just dump a bunch of flour onto your cutting board. Keep it light. The more flour you add, the thicker your bread's gonna be. We don't want that. We want to be very fluffy and have a lot of chew and have a lot of pockets in there. So just easy on that flour. You're gonna see here, I'm gonna test my dough. I see it's a little sticky, so I'm just gonna lightly dust the top. Again, easy, just lightly dust, put a little flour on your hands. And I always like to finish it off and knead it a couple minutes on my board. Just go ahead and stretch, fold, knead, turn, stretch, fold, knead. And you'll see it starts to be real smooth. And I'm gonna go ahead and form a dough ball here. And how you know it's done is I'm just gonna go ahead and poke my fingers in. If it gives back just slightly and slowly but bounces back, you're fine. You are good to go. And make sure it's a requirement. You always give that dough baby a little smack on its bum bum. Just like that. Now I'm gonna take my same bowl I used in the mixing in the stand mixer, same exact bowl. Make sure it's oiled with some of that Wesson vegetable oil or whatever vegetable you have. Just make it thoroughly oiled because that will stick as it rises. And I'm gonna go ahead and coat it thoroughly on the top as well, just to protect it from getting a skin on the top of my dough. Cover it with a nice towel. Just make sure it's thin towel, maybe slightly damp, and cotton so you don't get all those weird nasty fibers. And this is what you're gonna see here. It's gonna balloon up, double in size. It's gonna take you about 2 hours to 2.5 hours to rise to this size. Look at that, it's so freaking satisfying. Give that a nice little punch. Boom. Yes, it is. Very satisfying. Roll that out onto a floured board. I like to go ahead and press it down. Just be careful here. I don't like to go too fast, too hard. I want to keep that gas in the dough. I don't want to let all that gas out of the dough. That's going to be so important to build beautiful pockets in your finished product. Now, once you get to this point, go ahead and square it off and cut it into 2 as equal as you can slices. If you want to get a scale, you can weigh it out, make sure they're exact. Honestly, it's home bread, it's gonna be delicious. I just eyeball it. It's okay if it's not the same size. It's still gonna be delicious. Now we're gonna go ahead and form our loaves. We wanna get our loaf pans ready. Now I always use metal because it cooks evenly and it cooks the best. I've tried glass, it doesn't cook evenly. I've tried ceramic, it doesn't cook evenly. Get you some metal ones. These are cheap at Walmart. You can even get them on Amazon. You can use copper ones or you can use the ones like you see here. Pour a little bit of that vegetable in there and get it in there. Get your fingers in there. Get all that oil in all the nooks and crannies. Because trust me, it'll be a problem if your bread sticks. So thoroughly oil your pans. Now you see here I just folded and rolled. Folded and rolled. I don't push down, I don't squeeze. I want to keep all that gas in the dough. Once you get the dough into the pan just like this, lightly form them into the pan. Cover them again with that towel. You're gonna let them sit for about 45 minutes. What you wanna see here when it's rested after 45 minutes is you wanna see about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of bread above your loaf pan. So if you don't see that, just give it a little bit more time, okay? The times are gonna be a little iffy depending on if you have high humidity or low humidity, but this right here is what you're gonna wanna see. Nice, about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch above your loaf pan. Throw that into a 350-degree oven for about 28 to 29 minutes, and this is what you're gonna get right here. Beautiful, beautiful, brown, scrumptious, homemade bread loaves. Let me tell you, this is gonna make your house smell beautiful, like a bakery. You're gonna get so hungry, you're gonna eat that whole loaf. It is really hard not to just get into that loaf right here, but you wanna wait, okay? You wanna be patient. Get you a cold stick of butter, or if you want, you can melt a little bit of butter and brush it on. This just is easy for me. What this is gonna do is gonna soften up that crust, and it's also gonna add a little shine, and it's gonna protect the crust, but it's also gonna add a nice buttery flavor that's gonna be so intense because this bread is sweet, it is buttery, it is awesome. Now roll that out of your bread pans. I like to just knock it a couple times just to make sure if there's any stickage. But look at that. Look how brown it is on all sides. This is what you're gonna want to have. And trust me, you're gonna want metal pans to do that. Like I said, grab you some of those copper ones or get some of these, couple bucks at Walmart or Amazon. They're the best. They're just the best. I've never had problems with them. They cook evenly. They're amazing. Look how gorgeous that is. Perfectly brown on all sides. Now let that sit until it's warm to the touch. You can handle it. Because let me tell you, it might look like I'm handling it nicely, but it's scalding hot. And also you don't want to cut into it because you're going to let all your steam out and it's going to slightly change the texture. But look at all those little pockets. Look how fluffy and delicious that is. Look how well it takes up the butter and all the nooks and crannies. Ooh. Amish white bread, baby. That is the best.
Hold on. This is such a good idea.
This is such a good idea.
So good.
Best idea ever.
Oh man. Subscribe, comment, like, and of course, you know, stay strong, stay blessed,
Stay savage.
stay freaking savage.
Big guns. I'll do it.
Big guns. I'm gonna eat my bread now.
Guys, I can't do it because I'm firm in him. But I love you guys. Peace and God bless.
Oh my god.
This is amazing.
So good.